Cortez Masto.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. So I would love to just to kind of put this in perspective, and I so appreciate you holding this hearing at my request, because I oppose the reform that was proposal that was put forward in the House of Representatives, because one, the legislation would have an unfair, outsized impact on the state of Nevada, where most of the land is owned by the federal government, and it imposes taxes on federal land. But more importantly, moving this type of reform through a short-term budget process would create uncertainty for the industry, and an uncertainty that supports thousands of jobs across the country. So it is fair that we have this conversation that is transparent, in public, we bring all the stakeholders together, and we figure out a compromise. I'm hearing today there's opportunity for compromise to work through this, and that's how this process should occur. So I want to thank you for having this hearing and allowing us to work through this process, because I think it is so important. One of the things, though, I do want to stress, and I thank Mr. Chairman for trying to get out to Nevada to see the hard rock mining, but I know because of the climate and the weather and the fires, we were unable to. But Mr. Haddock, let me, if you would, put this in perspective for me, because I know there is a difference between what we have talked about, oil and coal and that type of mining versus hard rock mining. Really, oil, gas, and coal are marketable, sellable at the mouth of the mine, meaning no refinement or processing is required by the miner for the mineral to enter the stream of commerce. In contrast, that's a little different than the hard rock mining. So could you talk a little bit and help us understand the processing costs in hard rock mining and how that differs? And that's what you're talking about when you're saying we should be looking at the net royalty, prospective net royalty, because we're not taking into consideration for hard rock mining that type of processing that's different than the coal. Is that correct?
Thank you, Senator. That is correct. And in our case, and in the case of most gold mining, and for that matter, in the case of other minerals like copper, when you discover a deposit, that rock has no value. And the only way you can turn it into value is by, and first of all, you have to find it. And in our case, we have a deposit where we have spent almost $500 million, and now we're just to the point where we're permitting. Then, after you discover it, you have to do numerous studies on all kinds of chemical parameters, physical parameters, and try to figure out how to turn that rock into a sellable product. Then, after you do that, you do your feasibility studies, and after you have designed the bespoke facilities to produce this ore. And then you build the facility at a cost of, right now, for an autoclave or a roaster, which is what we call our ore processing facilities, and a mill, it's $1 billion a pop. So each one of our mills would be $1 billion. We have 7 of them right now. Then you have to expend the capital every year to continue to maintain that property and those facilities, and to expand them and to refine them to deal with the ore that you encounter. It's a nonstop process that never ends of cycles of investment. And then and only then, when you get to the end of the product, at the end of the process, do you have a product, a sellable product. And then after that, as Senator Manchin said, we are very cognizant of our reclamation obligations, and we have our reclamation cost, and that too is part of our investment. And right now, Nevada Gold Mines carries reclamation bonds of $2.1 billion, which is about twice the entire coal industry in West Virginia. So, so it is a continuing investment cycle.
So let me ask and put it in, and I know you're steeped in this so well, but Ms. Sweeney, help me put it in layman's terms here so people understand. When you're doing hard rock mining and you scoop that initial shovel of dirt, you don't know what you have there yet until you go through your patented process and processing to determine whether there is a mineral worth anything. Is that correct?
Absolutely. There are years of exploration activities that take place before you would even know whether you have an economically valuable deposit. There's upfront studies that you're doing during that same time, and lots of information you're collecting. If you're looking at about 1 in every 1,000 exploration activities might become a modern mine, there's a lot of upfront work and upfront costs actually that go into that as well.
Is that why you have concerns about a dirt tax?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. I know my time is up. I appreciate it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator. Now we have Senator Lee.